Right, people, Man United have won. Man United fans, here's one for you guys. It's a cheer you up, because I know you've had a tough time. Man United are just 3 points off Man City. You would have taken that at the start of the season. What is going on? Talk about an epic reframe. Speaking of which, have we found the winning formula for Man United? Well, possibly. I think you can't find the winning formula from this team right now, and I have a huge question that I want to ask you at the end of this video, Man United fans, so please do stick around. It's crucial, and I don't know the answer to it. And I'd love to know what you think, because you will know better than I do. But these are the two lineups, and there is a partnership that I want to talk about here, and this proves it. And it's not what you think. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking Garnacho and Fernandes, aren't you? You're thinking Garnacho and Fernandes. We'll talk about Chelsea, of course, as well. And we're going to run through the goals, which were just, there were some good moments. There were some horrific moments. We'll talk about a certain defender for Chelsea who in particular was a massive problem. It's the same screenshot. And also a good bit of movement from Chelsea moving forward. And the fact that, of course, we live in the grey here on the JLA channel. And that's why you're here, right? So if you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the content, hit the notification bell as well. And get involved in the comments below, because I'm going to be asking you some questions. Right, let's start off with the tactics, because I think the tactics are a really good place to start when I want to talk about the partnership. The odd partnership that is the future. Now, these are the two lineups. And actually, first and foremost, can we just say, well played, young man. And he's probably old now, or older. But Maguire has really, he was crucial in this game. And there were certain teams within this team here. And it could be the future, but they were also exposed at times, and we'll show that. So the partnership I want to talk about is McTominay and Fernandes. Now, if we go back to this, that doesn't feel like it should be the partnership that we're talking about. And there are strengths and weaknesses to this partnership between Bruno Fernandes and Scott McTominay. And it's the understanding and the ebb and flow of that, and also the pressure that it will put on other players, that will lead to the success or failure. And also the fact if Scott McTominay is running really hot right now, which he kind of is, obviously he's scoring goals. But can he keep that up? We did a video on this channel, and we've done two great videos, I think, that really play into the point here. And one was talking about Man City at the start of the season, and this idea that they would play two up top with Alvarez. And that came to be, which is great. But what we're seeing now, and this is something we're also going to be talking about on the channel very soon in more detail, is this sort of second striker, and there's different profiles for them, and they're sort of multifunctional forwards, if that makes sense. And because football is about profiles now, when you see this and you see McTominay, you go, nah. And we told you a month and a half ago, McTominay has a striker's mind. And he does. He truly does. And you saw it in this game. You saw it from the runs that he's able to make. We'll break down both of his goals. But the average position is a really important thing. This is going to blow your mind. Honestly, this will blow your mind. Because, again, I think the initial idea of what you think of footballers and where they should play, you didn't see that with this partnership with these two players. Let's have a look at it. So, first of all, Bruno Fernandes. Now, Bruno Fernandes, we generally think of him as wanting to play in that 10 role. He's very good in that 10 role. But right now, they need a different route to go. And you can see here, and actually in the first half, it was far more visible. The main aim of the team for Man United was working down the sides. And that was because the Chelsea back line was totally disjointed. I thought Chelsea were soft defensively. I think they really missed Gallagher. I thought there's no snap in the way that they defended as a team, and the back four we'll come to in a second. But more importantly, when we talk about this partnership, first of all, Bruno Fernandes, let's touch on him. Because the thing that's crucial here is, for a guy who's I know he's number 8, but he's a 10, right, for this team, and especially in a midfield with Amrabat and Scott McTominay, you would think that Bruno Fernandes would be in the box a lot more than he was helping out Højlund. Now, I know he's a creator, and that is what he's best at, but he scores a lot of goals. He has scored a lot of goals, and he has that in him. But as we've spoken about, and go check out that video if you're a Man United fan. I'm over here, aren't I? If you're a Man United fan, McTominay. Let's look at McTominay. Now, McTominay is that midfielder who's going to sit in that kind of double pivot, or he might be a little bit box to box. But look how much he is in the penalty area. That's the mentality of a striker, and he's been given that free rein. Now, that comes with dangers. It really does come with dangers. And let me show you that. Because, first of all, That focus on that left-hand side and the amount of crosses that Bruno Fernandes put in this game. And also, I thought Garnacho was really, really great in this game as well. They made life horrible for Cucurella. As I say, I didn't think Sterling was at the races defensively at all. Caicedo played as a sort of single pivot for the bulk of the first half in particular, and they were just able to kind of run rings around them. If we have a look at the passing networks of Chelsea, we'll come to that. But the danger creation for Chelsea, the danger creation came, as you can see, from that central area. And that is where the problem is with McTominay and Bruno Fernandes. Let's move another one. But for Man United, as you can see, that left-hand side in particular was the route to goal for Man United. And as I say, I think that XG was 4. They created so many chances. It was absolutely amazing to see. And again, when we look at those passing networks, it was about using the width of the pitch. But Antony, of course, we know is not going to go to the byline. So you're going to have to come back inside. And I guess that's what Man United essentially have been doing for a long time. But having someone like McTominay to be able to crash into the box like that is really, really impressive. Let's look at that first goal. Because, I mean, the first goal from a Chelsea perspective is an utter disgrace. It's an absolute shambles. Let's go to it. So it's not this one. Let's go back one. The first thing I've got to talk about, so I think let's zoom in here. McTominay is having a little look already. He's thinking about how can I get myself in the box. From Chelsea's point of view, there are several problems here. First of all, Nicholas Jackson gives away the ball in the first place. But one person I have to focus on here, and you will have seen the goal. Go watch it back. The goal comes from a corner that makes its way over to here. And Palmer makes a horrible mistake and loses the ball to Antony. Antony's then able to get the ball to Amrabat, who plays the ball over to this side, and the goal then comes from that. McTominay makes his way into the box, and he's not picked up by Jackson. There are mistakes everywhere. But one person who has not been critiqued at all, and is hugely to blame for this, is Cucurella. Because Cucurella, even for the corner, is initially here. And that's fine, okay? But I counted. I went back. I'm a loser. I know. As the ball made its way over to this side of the pitch, he had 6 seconds to move his arse over and be back in his position. And if he is back in his position, especially in a makeshift back line when you've got a guy who's really a centre-back playing left-back, although he's incredibly competent, and obviously you've got your 2 centre-backs there, but you've got a left-back playing at right-back, get in your position. And if he gets in his position instead of pissing about here, this goal doesn't happen because this back line for Chelsea is in a much better state. They have a complete overload on this side. It causes absolute chaos. And actually, when the ball then makes its way down to this byline, again, watch the goal back. Thiago Silva looks to try and read it and get across. But Disasi, who leaves his man, Harry Maguire, in this initial melee before it falls to McTominay, he has his man. And again, he wouldn't go. He goes as well and leaves Maguire, but he wouldn't have left Maguire if Cucurella wasn't here and he was here. It's crap, and I can't believe no one spotted it. So that just needed to be said. That all said, the brilliance of McTominay once he gets the ball is exactly what we speak about in the video where we talk about McTominay as a striker, quote unquote, because he has that. He has that mentality to go and score goals. And so you want him to go and get in the box. Problem is the second goal. Now, as I spoke to you a bit earlier, that sort of the creation for Chelsea in this game kind of came from that area of the pitch. And what having McTominay and Fernandes in the same team does, especially when Fernandes is working his way over here, and you've got McTominay looking to try and kind of get involved here, is that makes life very, very difficult for one man, Amrabat. And it makes this relationship, absolutely integral to the game. But also, during this game, Amrabat was kind of focused on Palmer. And the goal kind of comes from that clever movement. And what Palmer did a lot of the time, and he was poor on the ball, very poor on the ball, kept losing the ball. But what he was able to do is understand that him coming away, taking Amrabat with him, because Amrabat wanted to stay quite tight to him. It then left, obviously, all this space in that central area. The problem was they weren't able to get the ball to Mudryk or Sterling enough. And when they were able to get the ball to Mudryk, who, I've got this phrase, he's good, but is he good? And Mudryk, I'm like, he's bright, but is he bright? because the decisions that he's making were generally pretty poor, but the positioning that he had in this game I thought was pretty fantastic, and I thought Poch made the right decision with that. I also wonder if Colwill played on this left-hand side because of Mudryk defensively being pretty rubbish, and also a Cucurella thing. I think Reece James has obviously wound him up a little bit, and so he wanted to kind of prove a point, but he's actually kind of hurt himself, as we've just explained in that for that goal. But Palmer was often sort of willing to sort of just take Amrabat out of the game. And even if Amrabat was kind of here, he still wasn't really where he wanted to be. And Mudryk was able to move off someone like Delot, and you see that for the first goal. Let me show you this screenshot for that, because I think that's really interesting as well. So if we move on to the second goal, here we go. So this is the second goal. It's the only screenshot I've got for this one. But what's important, again, go and watch it back, is that in the build-up to it, Cole Palmer makes his way over here. I think that's when they get themselves on the ball. And actually, Enzo Fernandez initially, so Mudryk's got the ball here, but Mudryk actually starts here. And again, you'll see from different angles that Delot kind of wants to go with him, but doesn't really know what to do, and he's a little bit scared. Amrabat is not in a great position. The reason he's not in a great position, and ideally the position would obviously be here, so you can provide that triangle and that protection for the back line, is because of Cole Palmer. He's so concerned with Cole Palmer all the time. Now, McTominay, why is he out of position? He's out of position because Enzo Fernandez, and again, go and watch it back, he has a little look over his shoulder, and he knows that Mudryk, who was here, is going to come into this central area. So Enzo vacates it, comes out of it, turns it into a double pivot, creates all this space in this central area. Mudryk gets on the ball, for once makes the right decision, that simple pass, which they've definitely worked on, and then Cole Palmer does the rest. Cole Palmer is a really, really great player. But I think what's giving him even more plaudits right now is the fact that Jackson doesn't take his chances. And Mudryk doesn't take his chances. And if you're a Chelsea fan, you've got to be utterly infuriated. In terms of the game, despite all these shots that Man United had, both teams had 5 big chances. Both teams. And Chelsea didn't have that many shots. So there are problems here when it comes to Man United defensively, but you get so much with the goals from McTominay right now, and there's no one else really putting their hand up, that, it might be one where you just kind of get on with it, because McTominay and Fernandez, from an offensive point of view, are just so brilliant. But you can see here the big spaces that are there and the ability to pull Amrabat around so easily because of this huge gap that's there. That's a problem. Overall, the press was really, really strong for Man United. I would be wondering is that down to the press of Man United, or is that down to the poor build-up play from Chelsea? This is their passing network. There's an app called 12. Go download it if you want to. And that's where I get these passing networks. And I think what's important here with this one is you can see Silva and Disasi, and in particular in that initial build-up phase, because I think they wanted to go and get the ball in more central areas to expose that space in behind McTominay. Sterling and Mudryk didn't want to start wide, so they wanted the fullbacks to start wide to be able to play the ball in. But the quality of Disasi's ability to be press-proof and play the ball through was poor. I thought Fernandez and Caicedo should have played as a double pivot, as opposed to just a single pivot in Caicedo, and they weren't able to get out at the build-up phase. I think it was partly down to them being poor and disjointed with those fullbacks. You swap those fullbacks for Colwill and Reece James, and it looks a lot different. And as I say, Chelsea had a few moments, but there's such a lack of chemistry there that I think it made Man United look a little bit better. And again, Nicholas Jackson has a massive chance, and Mudryk has a huge chance. You've got to take these chances. You have to. You have to. Final goal. Let's have a look at that one, because I think, as I said, McTominay with that little look, that is the look of a striker. He's looking to find out, how much space have I got? Garnacho with a beautiful cross. I think he is clearly a very fantastic player. But that ability to make that run and then just have that little look at Colwill before going and bullying him with that cross, that is the best route for Man United right now. Is it the future? No. Does it need to be the present? I think so. I think you've got to take the risk. And I think what you've got to do is you've just got to hope that Amrabat can deal with it. Because I think defensively, he does have both sides of the game. That's where, I think in a game where you're going to really dominate a lot better, which is difficult in this league, that's where Kobbie Mainoo can come in, or maybe you can play a 2. But what that means is that one of these 2 guys is going to have to make way, McTominay or Bruno Fernandes. And that is the final question that I want to ask you guys. Can you play these 2 in midfield week after week and get the points that you need to get where you want to be? Or will you be exploited by teams that are just that little bit clever, and a little bit more cohesive in how they're playing right now? You wonder how this game would have gone if Conor Gallagher is available. You wonder how this game goes if Reece James and Chilwell are available. You do wonder. But with the goals that these 2 are scoring and the creation that's there, this feels like the best route for them right now. It really, really does. But answer that question for me. Bruno Fernandes and McTominay. Can it work from a defensive point of view? And if it is to work from a defensive point of view, does Bruno Fernandes need to play a little bit deeper, a little bit more often to allow McTominay to go and be that second striker to a point that obviously works back? And maybe he's the guy who sits on the single pivot and Fernandes does a lot more defensive work. That is the biggest question of all. Will Bruno Fernandes, as hard as he works, is he willing to do that defensive work and be that defensive player and then move up the pitch? Or have you got a problem there? Let me know.